best car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we've got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
Welcome to the Frontier Motor Show. My name is Iven Streckel, and for the next 30 minutes, we're going to be talking about cars. Hopefully, we're not going to bore you to death. You might not be interested in a vehicle right now, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to be talking about what's going on in the car industry, maybe the newest, latest, and greatest. Also, what's going on in our neck of the woods here in the Pensacola area, and of course, also what's happening at Frontier Motors. I got my new Consumers Reports. I'm not sure what you think about Consumers Reports. They have the new best and the worst. And one of the things I found very interesting as far as their recommendations, they will not recommend a car with AEB. Now, what the heck is AEB? Alpha Edward Bravo. It's a technology that stops or slows the car down when a crash is imminent. It is called automatic emergency braking. And they are not going to recommend a car in their top 10 unless the car comes standard with that feature, which eliminates a lot of cars out there. Some cars had this as an option in a safety package that also includes other features, but they're saying this is such a proven technology that they feel that you would be almost foolish to buy a car without it. And guess what? I agree. Yesterday I was taking a Genesis over to New Orleans to watch the basketball game. The Pelicans were playing against the Warriors. They didn't win, by the way, but that's a whole different story. It was raining really, really bad. I had two safety features on that car which can save my life. One of them is the laser adaptive cruise control. You set your cruise control, I set it to 75 miles an hour. And the car in front of me, if he hits the brakes, my car will automatically stay 300 feet behind him, no matter what he does. Now, if he starts going 90, mine's going to stop at 75. But if he slows down to 55 for some reason, my car is going to stay 300 feet behind him doing 55 miles an hour. A very cool feature that is an option on most cars, standard on a Genesis. But the other feature that we have is the automatic braking. When your cruise control is not on, if the guy in front of you jams on his brakes, which happened yesterday, and you're not paying attention or you're not reacting fast enough, the car instantaneously will brake. In the case of the Genesis, it'll go to a stop. Some cars just slow the car down. Some cars will actually stop the car if an accident is imminent. And it worked because we had that happen on the way to New Orleans. The other feature that it had, which I thought was kind of cool, was the cross-traffic alert, which means that if you're straying out of your lane, you'll have a little vibration in the seat in the steering wheel saying, hey, by the way, you know you're straying? In other words, if you're falling asleep, it'll kind of wake you up. If you use the blinker, it doesn't do it. But if you don't use your turn signal / blinker, it will definitely shake the car. Great feature. And some of the new cars actually have, I had a Lexus I was driving a couple of weeks ago. It would drive itself in the lane. So if you drifted, it would correct itself. I tried this on the Pensacola 3-mile bridge, and it worked perfectly. Doing 50 miles an hour, just let go of the wheel just to see what would happen. It was 5 in the morning, so I wasn't not a lot of traffic around because I didn't want to crash into anybody, but it worked fine. Safety features are very important if you're going to upgrade your car. Matter of fact, we have people upgrading on a daily basis for safety features alone. They have a car that might be 3 or 4 years old. There's nothing wrong with the car. They don't have to trade it, but they want the safety features that are now either standard or as an option on most cars. I'm not sure if you knew this, but in 2018, the government mandated that every vehicle sold in the United States now has a backup camera. That used to be a feature that people would say, hey, by the way, I want a backup camera, but they were never standard. Some cars had it, some cars don't. No, 2018 on up, every car sold in the U.S. has to have a backup camera. So sometimes the government gets involved, and I actually think it's a good thing. Most of the time I think it's a bad thing. But in this particular case with the safety features, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that Consumers Reports is putting the pressure on manufacturing to make AEB standard, automatic braking standard. I think it can save a lot of people's lives, and they already know it can. And they are recommending cars that have that, which would be like the Subaru Ascent, if you don't know what that is. That's their new 8-passenger vehicle, a great vehicle that's recommended. The Audi A4, the Toyota Camry, the Hyundai Kona. If you don't know what a Kona is, that's their new crossover vehicle. Kona, kind of a goofy name, but it's kind of cool. We sold a bunch of them already. Toyota Yaris, the Toyota small car, was recommended. the Avalon, the F-150 is the pickup truck that's recommended, Subaru Forester, the BMW X5, and the Toyota Prius. These are all their top ranking in different segments, what they recommend as the number one vehicle. Doesn't mean there's not other good vehicles out there, but that's what they recommend as being number one. So when we talk about the car business a little bit, I always want to bring up something with resale value and how long a car will last. The average age of a car on the road in the United States last month was 11.8 years. Almost 12 years is the average age. Folks, stop in and buy a new car, will you? You got to get this economy going even better than it already is. And one of the reasons people are keeping that car that long is because the cars last longer. And in my automotive magazine, I've got an article in here that says that SUVs, now this is not cars, SUVs most likely to last at least 200,000 miles. So they did 400,000 surveys, and they found out the most vehicles that are going to be able to hit that is going to be the Toyota Sequoia, it is going to be the Chevy Suburban, it's going to be the Expedition, the GMC, whoops, we had a little meltdown here. No problem. I'll fix that. We're back in business. Thanks, Ryan. So the Expedition, the 4Runner, the Tahoe, the Highlander, the Honda Ridgeline, the Yukon, Tacoma, Tundra, Avalon, Odyssey, and Navigator. Interesting that a lot of the domestic large SUVs made that, which is really kind of weird because Consumer Reports doesn't rate the Chevy Suburban or the Navigator very good as far as reliability. Well, how come they're making this list of 200,000 miles? As a matter of fact, they also went as far as 300,000 miles. They said 6 of the vehicles, the Ford Expedition, the 4Runner, the Sequoia, the Suburban, the Tacoma, and the Tundra were at least twice more likely than average to hit 300,000 miles. Now, why am I saying that? I don't know why I'm saying that, because I want you to buy a used car. And I don't want you to drive your car for 300,000 miles. But I'm telling you that you don't have to buy a car. And I always tell people that the reason, if people bought cars when they had to buy cars, I'd be out of business. People buy cars because they want new cars. They want the latest and the greatest. And a prime example is the new 2020 mid-engine Corvette. I happened to be in Wisconsin a couple of weeks ago, and they had the first live showing of the new car. I was able to sit in the car and get some pictures with it. And I've seen pictures, but I've never seen the car. And the car wasn't for sale, but they already had taken, that dealership, it was Holtz Chevrolet in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, had taken 36 orders already, and they already halfway sold out through the 2021 model year of Corvettes for their allocation. So why are people buying this car? Because it's the latest and greatest. So sometimes it has to do with safety. Sometimes it has to do with a new model. And they said this is the most phenomenal opening of a new car that they've had in 20 years. Even when the Stingray came out, they didn't have the excitement they have with this Corvette. Well, sure, I'm in the car business, so I think that's kind of cool. I remember the old days when they had the new car showings, which would be like in the August or September, and we would take the new car dealership and they would put newspaper, block everything out so you couldn't see the car, and they'd have a big invitation-only sale for customers only, and then the general public was allowed. But it was a big deal to come and see the new cars. Well, now these days with the internet, there's no surprises anymore. They have the cars already on pictures before the car is even done being built. So it's really a little bit different, but it's very exciting. And again, a big deal for me to know that there are cars out there that spark someone's enthusiasm enough to go ahead and trade a car in. And these days, there's a lot of people that trade a car in, and it's not normally because their car is worn out. And like I said, there are a lot of cars will last 200,000, 300,000 miles. I get a lot of trade-ins that have 130, 140,000 miles on it. I also get trade-ins that have 50,000 miles on. And the first thing I always ask a customer when he's trading a 50,000 mile car or a 20,000 mile car is, why are you trading? Now, some dealers are afraid to ask that question because they don't want to talk to customer out of trading. I ask the question because I want to know why. What is the reason you want to get rid of this car? Is it a lemon? I'd want to know that because I don't want to sell it to another customer. Or maybe it's not a lemon, but sometimes it's for convenience. I bought a two-door Honda Accord and I'm going to trade for a four-door. I wish I should have had those extra two doors. Or the guy that's got the Mustang just found out he's going to have twins and he's getting married and he's buying a minivan. So there's a lot of reasons that people will trade. A lot of times nowadays it's because of the braking and the safety features that are available on these newer cars that aren't available on their older cars. And I think that what's going to happen in the future, I'm talking about the future being next year, the year after, you're going to see A lot of these manufacturers jumping on the safety bandwagon. Toyota has done it already. If you buy a Toyota Corolla from 2018 on up, they have those safety features standard, including the laser cruise control. Kind of a cool feature, like blind spot and those things like that. So that's the reason people are trading cars. And there's a lot of other reasons that people trade cars, and I'll give you one of them. I've got a friend that I bring his recording with me to the radio show all the time because he does a show for us, and he can pretty much tell you in 60 seconds what it takes me a half hour to show. And the friend's name is Dave Ramsey.
Hey, Dave Ramsey here. Whether you're on baby step 1 or baby step 7, my advice when it comes to buying a car has been the same. Don't buy new. Consumer Reports last year put into writing that a new car depreciates 27% in the first 12 months. On an average price $34,000 new car, that's roughly a $9,200 loss in the first year alone. Here's what you should do instead. Go see my friends at Frontier Motors. They specialize in great used cars that still look and smell like new. Frontier Motors offers over 400 of these vehicles in stock in one location. What sets these guys apart from a regular car dealership is that they make the hated process of buying a car a stress-free experience. They're one of the few dealers that will give you a bottom line out-the-door price in writing. It's not very easy finding an honest car dealer, but I know you'll be treated right when you shop at Frontier Motors. Tell them Dave Ramsey sent you.
Now, Dave does a really good job talking about Frontier Motors and what we do and what we've been doing for the Pensacola community for 23 years now. And to jump on what Dave was saying is that he said the first year depreciation is 27% for the first time. Again, we have the Consumer Reports graph that did 700,000 surveys, and they said that after 2 years you lose $12,500 on that $36,000 car that you bought brand new. So just think about it. You buy a brand new car today. If you decide in 1 year that you want to trade out of it, let's say you bought that 2-door and you want a 4-door, the average loss you're going to take is $9,200 the first year. In 2 years, it's $12,500. In 3 years, it's $15,600. In 4 years, you lose half the price of the car. Actually, more than that, 56% of the value of the car when you trade in 4 years. And that's where we come in, folks, is we buy those 4-year-old cars from people that have decided to trade. And these cars that we're buying are good cars. These are not lemons. These are not cars that have been smoked and that have been in multiple accidents that have chips, nicks on it. I pride myself that if you ever stop in at Frontier Motors and look at our cars, those cars are so clean. I get compliment after compliment after compliment on customers saying that your cars, even though some of them are 4 or 5 years old or even older, if we take them to trade, they look like brand spanking new cars because that's what we purchase. I don't go out and buy a ratty car and fix it up. And a lot of dealers do that, because the condition is the number one thing. If you're looking at the same year car, the number one thing that determines the value of the car is not the miles. Of course, it's a factor, but not the number one. And it's not the equipment. It's not the color. The number one thing that affects the value of a car, if it's the same year, is the condition of the car. When I go to the auction, the condition of the car for the same year car can be as much as a $6,000 differentiation between below average and above average car. And a lot of dealers that I see buy those below average cars. Now, why do they do that? So they can advertise them cheaper. You see that on the billboards once in a while on I-10. We'll have a car that's 1 year old advertised from $10,900 at the $20,000 car. Well, why is it advertised for that? Because it's a rat. You ain't going to want to buy it when you get to that dealership, but they're smart enough to buy the nice ones too. The nice one might be $3,000 to $4,000 more. We only buy the nice ones. And we want to make sure that when we price a car, that we price it competitively, but give you a better conditioned car with lower miles and more equipment. And also color makes a big difference. An ugly color versus a good color will make a difference in resale value. Matter of fact, the manufacturers now charge extra for different colors. What they consider to be hot colors, they charge more for them. I know because I have the new car cost guides at the dealership, so I can see which colors are the hotter colors because that's what the manufacturer. Cadillac, for example, for their Pearl White charges like $1,000. Might be more by now, but a couple years ago when I looked, it was a $1,000 upgrade to buy a Pearl White car. Well, when you buy a used, guess what? You do pay more for a Pearl White Cadillac than you would if it was flat black, for example. So color makes a difference too. Frontier Motors is the dealer to go to for free advice. Like Dave Ramsey said, free advice, free advice. Now, what is that for? That is for if you are going to perhaps purchase a car from a private individual. You're going to want to know what's the fair price for that car, not just the NADA book. Anybody can get the book. The banker can give you the value. You can go on the internet to find book values. You got the KBB, the Kelly Blue book. You got the Edmunds book. You got this NADA book. You could probably even get the Black Wholesale Guidebook on the NADA on the Google. I haven't checked it lately. It used to be only for dealers, but I'm sure you can get the information. The books don't buy cars, folks. Live individuals do. Frontier Motors buys cars. I can get right into the reports of what they're going for at the auction. If I know what I can buy a car for, I'm going to be able to tell you what you should pay for that car. Because I'll know what I can buy it for. I'll know what the transportation costs. I'll know what I have to mark the car up to stay in business to make a profit. And that's the figure I'm going to charge you. And that's the figure you can use when you're out buying a car from a private individual. You call Frontier Motors, say, yeah, I'm looking at this 2018 Chevy Impala down the road. What should I pay? And I'll tell you what we can sell one like that for. Sometimes we even have that car on the lot. So we can say, hey, I got one on the lot. It's a pearl white one. This is how much it is. Or we can look it up for you. The other thing is you want to run a history report on the car you buy. Please don't buy a car without running a history report. There are probably 10 to 15% of the cars that I have to reject because of the history report. And folks, it's not always because of accidents. People think, well, I'm not going to buy the car. I don't see anything really wrong with the car that's been in an accident, especially if it's been a minor accident. Even if it's moderate, as long as the car was fixed properly, it's running properly, it's working properly, you get it inspected, and you get a deal on the car. You should be able to buy your car cheaper. But there are other cars that I would stay away from, which are called gray market value, gray market cars. Gray market would be lemon law buybacks. I don't buy lemon law buybacks. I don't buy cars that have been in structural accidents. I don't buy cars that have been totaled and have been rebuilt, which, by the way, is not illegal. To total a car, rebuild it, and sell it, it's only illegal not to disclose it on the title to the next owner. Same thing with odometer. It's not illegal to sell a car that has an improper odometer. In other words, it said it's got 50,000, but it's got 150,000. That's not illegal. Odometers can break. You got to put a new one in. It's only illegal not to tell the next person. We don't buy cars like that. So when you come to Frontier Motors, you're going to see a good car that's not a gray market car that will put the history report in the glove box. We'll tell you what the price is. We'll give you an out-the-door price in writing. And we can share this information with you. So if you do buy a car from a private individual, or maybe you found one at another dealer. Maybe it's a small used car dealer. Maybe it's a new car dealer that they called you up and say, hey, I just took the car and trade. Don't be in a hurry. Don't be conned in about, well, I got 5 people looking at that car. And even when that happens at Frontier Motors, I will never tell the customer because they don't believe you anyways. They think it's a con to get you to buy a car right then and there. So I don't even mention that. Sometimes we do have multiple people looking at cars at the same time. But if it's not sold, it's not sold. Don't jump into it. There's always going to be another car. Call Frontier Motors and get the Carfax report from us for free. They're $40, by the way, plus tax. So it's like $42 for Carfax report per car. So if you look at 5 different cars, it costs a couple $100. Get them from us for nothing. Then we'll tell you what to pay. And we'll also give you our opinion if it's a good car, bad car. Some people don't want to know our opinion. And our opinion is formed by 2 different ways. Number 1 is from consumer reports, reliability ranking. And number 2, from experience from selling cars time after time again. Sometimes I get in a headbutt with consumer reports. For example, sometimes I'll say a car is not that good when I think it's really good. For example, a Jeep Grand Cherokee. In the last 5 years, Jeep Grand Cherokee is one of our best-selling SUVs, and I have no problems with them whatsoever. Years ago, they were problematic, but the new ones aren't. Consumer Reports still doesn't rate them very high. Well, I disagree with that. But most of the time, 90% of the time, I concur with Consumer Reports. For example, they said that the best brand in 2018 was the Genesis. Now, when they say brand, they mean reliability, together with safety, together with drivability, and together with customer satisfaction. They put that all together and they come out with the best car that they think is the best brand out there. Not model, but brand. Genesis makes different models of cars. And if you don't know that, by the way, Genesis is now the Highline division of Hyundai. So it's not called a Hyundai Genesis anymore. It's a Genesis, and they started that in 2017. Genesis was separate. Then they make a G70, a G80, a G90. And Genesis was number 1. Pretty cool, because Alan Turner is now the Genesis dealer. He has been for since they've been out, which is really good that we have a local dealer. Audi is number 2. I love the fact that we have Sonic Automotive Group has opened up an Audi dealership right here on 29. I love it because you can get the car serviced. People wouldn't buy an Audi from me 10 years ago because they had to get it serviced in Mobile. Now you can buy Audi is number 2. They say overall, Audi is the number 2 car to buy. Isn't that interesting? Now again, it's not always reliability, it's an average of everything together. BMW, which is, I'm not a fan of BMWs if you don't know that, because years ago they used to break on me. I used to have to pay a lot of money out of my pocket to help customers out. When I sold them a car and the car would break down, and that would happen to be a BMW and a Mercedes, by the way. Well, right now they're saying BMW is number 3 and the reliability is still just average, but way better than poor. And the other one was also Mercedes. Mercedes is still down there, number 15. And the newer Mercedes, by the way, are much better than the older ones. Still not up to par with the Genesis, Lexus, the Porsche. Even the Porsche is way up there. Even the Kia is number 6. Can you imagine Kia? Years ago, they were crappy little cars. Now they're number 6 for overall brand to buy, above even a Subaru and a Tesla. Can you imagine that? So we give you our opinion on top of what you should pay, on top of the free history report. And then if you do still want to buy that car, maybe it's a good deal and you love the guy you're buying it from, let us appraise your trade-in. Wouldn't it be nice to have a second opinion about your trade, not just the book value, but what we would actually give you for the car? And I had this happen many times where a customer will take us up on our free appraisal process. It takes 15 minutes. We'll give you our appraisal in writing. And let's say they're going to buy a brand new Lexus at Lexus or Mobile. They drive all the way over there and they make the deal on the car. I can't talk them out of buying a new one for whatever reason. They don't care about the 20%, 27% depreciation the first year. They want to buy brand new because they can afford it. And I realized that 17.5 million people last year, 17.5 million people did not listen to me and Dave Ramsey and bought brand spanking new cars. Hopefully they keep those cars because it's like a stock. You don't see the depreciation until you sell it. So there's no depreciation if you keep driving the car. That's a joke, by the way. So they're going to buy a brand new one over there. They've got the appraisal in their back pocket of $20,000. They appraise the car for $17,000. They whip out the appraisal and said, no, that isn't going to work. Frontier Motors will give me $20,000 for it. I'm not even buying a car from them. I feel the dealer should give you more money than I'm giving you if you're doing business with them, at least by $1,000. So if you're going to buy a brand new Lexus, for example, at any Lexus dealer where it is, and I'm giving you $20,000, they should give you $21,000 in trade. And sometimes they'll say, well, you save money on taxes if you trade it in. That's true. You save a bunch of money on taxes. But I can buy it right from the dealer. You can trade it for my figure, and if they don't want to pay that for it, I'll buy it right from the dealer. So if I tell you I give you $20,000 for it, you can trade it in at that dealership, and I'll just buy it right from them. And the reason is, to make this simplistic, when people say, well, how do you save money on taxes? I'll give you a real fast example. If you buy a $20,000 brand new car, let's say it's a Toyota Corolla, which you can buy probably a base Corolla for $20,000, and you're trading a $20,000 pickup truck, you pay 0 taxes. If you sell a car to someone else and you buy a $20,000 car, you're going to pay about $1,500 in taxes, give or take a couple dollars. So you're saving $1,500. So they use that to get you to trade the car in for less. Get the best of both worlds. I'll give you the higher appraisal and you still get the tax credit. I'll just buy it right from the dealer. Talk about other things that we do at Frontier Motors, folks. We do consignments, and there's not a lot of dealers that do consignments anymore. Consignments 20 years ago got a bad name because any dealer would just take a car, mark it up just so they would fill their lot and show, look at how many cars we have. Well, we don't do that at Frontier Motors. What we do with consignments is we don't charge a commission, we don't charge a fee. There's some dealerships that charge a $200 or $300 monthly fee, which is ridiculous because it gives them an incentive not to sell your car. They're making money if they don't sell it because you got to pay them a fee. We tell you what if we tell you we're going to net you $20,000, the way that I make money is anything over $20,000 mine. So if I sell the car for $21,000, guess what? I'm making $1,000. Let's say wholesale is 19 and retail is 21. You're going to get 20 right in the middle. We do all the work, all the advertising. We wash it twice a week. You don't have to do anything. We can take a trade-in on your car. We can get it financed. We can offer extended warranty. These are all things we can do if we put a car on consignment. And we normally have between 20 and 30 cars on consignment because people love it. They drop the car off, they get it right home, we give them the tag. The only thing we ask you to do is keep insurance on the car because we don't own it. And we sell it for you. The average turnaround is about 30 to 35 days on the average. Some take longer, some take less. I just put a Range Rover on consignment 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, it sold. That's not the easy sell. Range Rovers are pretty expensive. We sold it within 3 weeks. I told the customer, they got a couple of $1,000s more than wholesale. The customer that bought it well under retail, and we still made a little bit of money. Guess what? Everybody's happy. The other thing we'll do for you is if you've got that car And you're doing the Dave Ramsey thing, going from a 2-car family to 1-car family, reducing your debt. Bring us the car, let us write you a check. The number one thing we do at Frontier Motors is not selling cars. People say, well, why do you say that? The number one thing we do at Frontier Motors is buy cars. We started a business 23 years ago. Guess what I had to do? I had to go out and buy cars. That's the first thing I had to do. I went and bought 21 cars, 3 truckloads of cars. And we sold those cars and we bought more and more and more. And guess what? Now we have 440 cars on inventory. And one of the things I found out years ago is the more inventory you have, the more you sell, because the more choices you give customers. They can come into Frontier Motors, and if they're looking for a mid-size SUV, let's just use mid-size Ford Explorer, for example. I'm looking for a Ford Explorer. Well, what else are you looking at, man? Well, I'm also considering the Jeep Grand Cherokee. I'm also thinking about the Volkswagen Atlas. I'm looking at the Subaru. I'm looking at the Lexus. And guess what, folks? We have them all. So we don't have to talk you into a model, which happens when you go to a new car dealership. They talk you into what they're selling. If you go to a Chevy dealer, they're going to talk you into a Chevy because that's all they got. They're not going to tell you how nice a Ford is, or maybe you should look at a Ford. Well, at Frontier, we can do that. We can show you the Chevy and the Ford. And then you can make up your mind. Here, drive this one just so. Maybe they both drive the same. Well, what if one is $2,000 cheaper than the other one? And you're on the fence. That might make a difference. Maybe you like the way one rides better. That'll make a difference. Anyways, Ryan just told me we only had a couple of minutes left. So by the way, we're on Facebook. I keep forgetting to mention it. When we start this out, you can go to Facebook right now. We're streaming this live. If you've got a question, just type it in there. And then after we're done with the show in a couple of minutes, this is going to go over to YouTube. And we have 3 or 4 of our latest shows on there. So if you anybody in the car business that you want to share this show with, and they want to know a little bit about Frontier Motors, just ask them to watch our show. You never know when Blab is going to air it. We're on about 14 times a month, but we're on all the time. Over on YouTube, and we also have this show on our I'm going to say Facebook well, we do have it on Facebook, but I meant on our website. So if you go to our website, you'll see my ugly mug on the cover, and you can click on it, and you can watch the show and it's only going to be a couple of weeks old at the latest. 400 and some cars in inventory. Our website is really good. It's got 31 detailed photographs. It's got a description of the car. It's got a free Carfax report on every car, so you can click on the Carfax, see how many owners, see if it's been in an accident. Those are all things that may make visible. By the way, we take a copy of the Carfax and put them in the glove box of every one of our cars. We never hide anything from anybody. I'd hate to sell a car that has an issue and not let you know about it. And if we take a car and trade it that has an issue, if we're going to retail a car because it is a good car, maybe it's been in an accident and it's been fixed properly, we're going to share that information with you, and we're going to make sure that we get a deal on that car so you get a deal on that car. So it's not always about just the pricing, and I realize that. I've got a friend of mine that buys salvage cars. He always buys a used salvage car for his wife. I said, well, why do you do that? He said, because I buy it for 50% on the dollar. I said, aren't you nervous? He says, yeah, I'm nervous, but so far I've been lucky. The car hasn't, it's been rebuilt, and they did a good job. So I'm not telling you not to buy it. I'm just telling you, get a bargain on it when that happens. We buy cars. Again, only 30 seconds left. We give free advice. If you're ready, if you're in the car market, call us up. Ask us any stupid question. There's no such thing as a stupid question. We've got to run. Check out our website again. That's frontiermotorsinc.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Hope you're safe.
Guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead.